We all know that the Hulk is the peak of rage. Well, at least in the Marvel Universe, the strongest one there is. But what if there is a variation of him? That could be the ultimate powerhouse. What happens when something ancient and ugly gets its hooks into him? What happens if all that raw power receives a new, malevolent driver? We get a horrifying upgrade. The green skin turns black. All of Hulk's rage gets a purpose. And he gets a new name. Null, the breaker of worlds. And no, guys, it isn't just a color swap to make him black. He's redesigned as a divine weapon, a monster so scary that he makes the original look weak. It's the story of Null, the Black Hulk, and the ultimate destroyer. Now, before we begin, hit that subscribe button for more marvelous videos, and leave a like. Null, the Black Hulk, backstory. To really understand the origins of the Black Hulk, we've got to rewind the clock to a major Marvel event in 2011, Fear itself. Now, this wasn't a random transformation or a lab experiment gone awry, nor was it some alternate universe variant. It was an event, orchestrated by a god. This whole thing kicks off when the Serpent, whose real name is called Borson, is finally freed from his prison in the deep sea, beneath the Mariana Trench, and he's Odin's long-lost and intentionally forgotten older brother. He's the actual god of fear. After being locked away for millennia in the depths of the ocean, he was pretty salty. Pun intended. He's got this innate desire to make his name reverberate through the universe again. The Serpent formed a terrifyingly grand plan to reclaim his place as the All-Father by drowning the entire planet in absolute terror. And to achieve his goal, he planned to create an army by summoning 8 mystical Uru hammers from the sky. They were a dark mirror of Thor's Mjolnir, sent hurling towards the earth. Each of these hammers is a sentient weapon of fear, designed to seek out a host with a specific kind of power and inner turmoil. And when a worthy, suitable target is found, these hammers transform them into one of Serpent's divinely empowered generals for its army of fear. One of these hammers, a particularly nasty one, crashes down in the middle of Brazil, just where Hulk is. He was living a quiet life there, trying and failing to find some peace. But this hammer, radiating power and malice, was a siren's call Hulk couldn't ignore. He tries to resist, but he knows that whatever this hammer is, it's pure poison. But the hammer doesn't just wait to be picked up. It speaks to him, whispers to his deepest and most primal insecurities, and offers him whatsoever touches this hammer shall be endowed with the power of the breaker of worlds. For a creature who has always felt like an outcast, he only breaks things, who only breaks things. Being told he can become the ultimate breaker is just too much. Overwhelmed by the temptation, his hand inches towards the hammer. In the moment it closes around the haft, it's over. A flash of corrupting energy bursts out, engulfing him. The Hulk is twisted and remade. His iconic green skin turns into a dark, sickly gray and black. His eyes glow into a malevolent crimson, and a glowing red energy courses through him. In runic patterns, he's no longer the Hulk. He is now Null, the Black Hulk, and the breaker of worlds. He becomes one of Serpent's most powerful and terrifying weapons. The Hulk's infinite and boundless rage becomes the engine, driven by a divine, sinister purpose, and a terrifyingly sharp focus, all fueled by the will of a god who wants the world to bow to its knees. Some major story arc of Null. In the Fear Itself event, Null's reign of terror was the stuff of nightmares, an apocalyptic force, smashing his way through heroes and armies alike. That's what he was. But his story didn't just end when the Serpent was defeated. This persona of the divine parasite of rage, the breaker of worlds, became a dormant part of Hulk's psyche, a loaded gun waiting for someone foolish enough to pull the trigger. And that's exactly what happened in the criminally underrated 2012 Defenders series by Matt Fraction and Terry Dodson. The story kicks off with the Defenders. We're talking classic heavy hitters like Doctor Strange, Namor, and Norrin Radd, aka the Silver Surfer. They face an absolutely impossible world-ending threat, another one of the Serpent's worthy generals, a monster named Nurkod. The Breaker of Oceans is on a global rampage, and if you're wondering, Nurkod is the possessed and empowered form of the Atlantean warlord, Atuma. So, you've got this already powerful tyrant, now juiced up on a god's magic. Nurkod's found a doomsday machine that is causing apocalyptic tsunamis and earthquakes all over the planet. The oceans are rising, cities are drowning, and the people are dying. So how do they stop a possessed demigod who commands all the oceans of the world? The Defenders, and their infinite and incredibly reckless wisdom. Realize they have only one option. You have to fight fire with fire. To fight against one of the serpent's monsters, you have to unleash another. They do some mystical digging and discover that the Hulk, in his Null form, has been captured and contained since the end of Fear itself, but not in a shield prison or some high-tech cell, held deep in the remote Wundagore Mountains by the enigmatic martial arts master, John Amon, the Prince of Orphans. He's in a state of mystical stasis, a forced magical trance. He isn't just a prisoner in a cell. He's basically a nuclear warhead being kept in a supernatural cold storage. And the Defenders' plan is as simple as it is completely wild. They're going to hike up that mountain and find that nuclear warhead and point it at Nurkod. Getting to him is one thing, but waking up is entirely another. The Prince of Orphans warns them that they are all idiots to release Null, and that it is a terrible, world-endangering idea. But the Defenders are desperate and out of option, so the Sorcerer Supreme casts a powerful spell to shatter the magical trance, holding Null dormant. But the second he's released, all hell breaks loose. Null doesn't wake up confused, or as an ally who is grateful and thanks them for freeing him. He awakens as a cataclysmic threat to everyone and everything around him. As his first move, he begins to attack the Defenders, the people who just freed him. He sees them as insects, nothing more than to be swatted. The team quickly realizes that they can't fight him, but can only survive him, and they desperately try to herd this walking cataclysm towards their actual target. What follows next is one of the most brutal and jaw-dropping battles in modern Marvel Comics. The two mythological forces of darkness collide. Null, the breaker of worlds, versus Nurkod, the breaker of the oceans. The sheer scale of the power displayed here is completely off the charts. Their blows shatter mountains, boil the seas, and reshape the landscape around them. Their fight is a pure show of brute power, exerted by two of the most powerful beings. In the end, after a prolonged and savage beatdown, Null proves to be the powerful of the two. He beats Nurkod into a bloody submission and rips his hammer away from him. But here's the thing. Once the fight is over, Null doesn't calm down, nor does he revert to Banner. The Black Hawk turns his rage-filled attention to the rest of the world and begins to wreak havoc. It takes the immense efforts of the entire Defenders team to finally subdue him. They magically force him to revert to Hulk, ending his rampage. But it leaves behind the chills to everyone that this ultimate destroyer is still locked away inside Bruce Banner, waiting for his next wake-up call. How powerful is Null? So let's get down to the brass tacks. Just how powerful is this black version of the Hulk? Really, let's be absolutely clear about this. Null is arguably the most powerful incarnation of the Hulk ever put to paper. To even begin to understand it, you have to start with the baseline. The regular, garden variety Incredible Hulk, a being whose physical strength is already, for all intents and purposes, potentially limitless. He grows infinitely stronger the angrier he gets. That's the starting point. And add to that, the divine corrupting power of an actual Asgardian god of fear. It amplifies that strength and durability to cosmic level. And then, on top of all that, you give him his own personal magical Uru hammer. This hammer is no joke. It's a weapon forged in the same vein as Thor's Mjolnir, created for a god and enchanted to be a virtually unstoppable instrument of destruction. The hammer grants him immense raw physical power, allowing him to channel devastating energy blasts. It is also a ranged weapon that can be used to land hits with the force of a meteor. During the Fear Itself storyline, Null's feats of strength were absolutely bonkers. The guy basically dominated Thor. Null knocked him from Romania into the upper atmosphere with a single swing of his hammer. He went toe-to-toe with the Thing, who at the time was also empowered by the Serpent as one of the worthy, and still managed to overwhelm him completely. His durability is just as, if not more, absurd. He's practically invulnerable to any conventional form of attack. In that insane Defenders arc, the sheer force of his battle with Nurkod was leveling the landscape for miles in every direction. Yet, he came out of it without a single scratch. This is more about Hulk's limitless potential being weaponized, focused, and given a single, malevolent purpose by a divine intelligence than about being the strongest one out there. He doesn't just smash things because he's angry anymore. He breaks stuff because that's what he was created to do. He breaks stone, he breaks hero, and as his title, Breaker of Worlds, implies, he is fully, terrifyingly capable of breaking the entire planet. Marvelous verdict. So what's the final word on Null? This isn't a simple color swap or a temporary power-up like so many other comic book transformations. Null represents one of the most genuinely terrifying concepts in the entire Marvel Universe. What happens when its greatest, most uncontrollable force of pure rage is given a divine license to destroy? He's the Hulk with his conscience, his morality, and what little restraint he has, completely stripped away and replaced by the cold, calculating will of the God of Fear. The story arcs in Fear itself and Defenders use him perfectly, not as a typical villain you can outsmart or reason with, but as a living, breathing cataclysm. He is portrayed as a force that the heroes must either survive or, in their most desperate, world-ending hour, foolishly attempt to unleash upon their enemies. But justifyingly so, because Null, the Black Hulk, serves as this chillingly unforgettable reminder that the scariest thing about the Hulk isn't his own anger. It's what happens when someone else or something far worse takes control of that anger and gives it an anchor or a hammer. The result isn't a hero or even a monster. It's a walking extinction event that is truly marvelous. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.